7 Miraculous Ways to Thrive at Work Amidst Your Divine Spiritual Awakening Journey. In the quaint village of St. Thomas in the Field, the winds whispered secrets of the divine. The chapel's weathered stones glowed with a warm light that beckoned Sarah, a devoted mother, as she stepped inside. Each flicker of the candlelight seemed to dance with heavenly purpose, revealing glimpses of miracles waiting to unfold. Could it be true? Could a common mother, buried in chaos, experience the miraculous? Yes. And Sarah was on the brink of experiencing something extraordinary as she knelt before the altar. A sudden wave of warmth enveloped her. She felt as if 1,000 angels were lifting her burdens, their wings a symphony of reassurance. God, grant me peace, she cried, her heart echoing in the sacred space. At that moment, a flicker in the corner caught her eye. A strange light radiated from the statue of St. Thomas, compelling her to approach. As she reached out, she felt an undeniable energy surge through her, igniting a spark within her weary soul. With renewed fervor, Sarah returned to her hectic corporate life. The pressures felt relentless, but she began to sense something, an unexplainable buoyancy lifting her spirits. At lunchtime, an unexpected moment unfolded. Sarah shared a small prayer circle in the office break room with 2 colleagues she barely knew. As they clasped hands, a golden light filled the space, and laughter bubbled through the air like living water. It was a divine embrace, reminding her she wasn't alone in her struggles. But her faith faced opposition when her pursuit of integrity was met with derision at her demanding job. "You believe in all that, Sarah?" her coworker snorted, shaking his head. The doubt echoed in her mind, casting shadows over her heart. Would her beliefs stand firm against the corporate tide? In these moments, prayer became her anchor, sending forth pearls of hope amidst the waves of skepticism. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into restless nights until the fateful news came. She had been overlooked for the promotion she had longed for. Her heart shattered like glass, the fragments piercing through layers of despair. Tension crackled in her home, and the future felt daunting. But desperation birthed an urgent plea, and once more, Sarah sank to her knees, calling upon St. Thomas. "Guide me, please. Show me your way." That following Sunday, the chapel pulsed with energy. As Sarah joined the prayer gathering, faith surged through her like an unquenchable fire. Suddenly, as she prayed, a palpable energy coursed through the congregation, a chorus of divine affirmation. In that powerful moment, she saw glimmers of hope everywhere, even in her colleagues. "You too?" one said, tears glistening in his eyes. They united in prayer, and something miraculous began to bloom within their hearts. Could this be the start of something magnificent? Sarah could feel the winds changing, breathing new possibilities into her weary spirit. Would her faith be enough to conquer the looming shadows of challenge? As she stared into the candlelit warmth, she sensed the answer dancing just beyond reach. What awaited her on this ever-unfolding journey of spirit against the pressures of the world? The answer was coming, and she could hardly wait. The days that followed felt like a delicate balancing act. Every morning, Sarah awoke with a flicker of hope dancing in her heart. She found herself seeking signs, tiny miracles woven into her everyday routine. She noticed how the sun bathed the dew-kissed grass in golden hues during her morning walk, and how the rhythmic sound of her children's laughter painted the silence with joy. Each moment seemed to echo with divine reminders. Life held potential, and she was ready to embrace it. The threads of her newfound faith intertwined with her responsibilities at work. Every glance at the corporate email churn felt less daunting. Even during heated meetings, she found herself breathing deeply, whispering prayers under her breath. "Let my words be a reflection of your light, Lord," she would silently murmur, her spirit tethered to a greater purpose. One afternoon, while sitting in the break room, her colleagues were all abuzz over an upcoming product launch. Their chatter flowed like a lively stream, but Sarah felt a stirring in her heart. She cleared her throat, guiding the conversation toward gratitude. What if we took a moment to reflect on our blessings before diving into the project? She suggested softly but earnestly. A few faces turned to her, eyebrows raised, but a ripple of curiosity spread through the group, easing the tension. And then, just like that, it blossomed a collective pause, a circle of hands held in unity, united through purpose and faith. Together, they offered up prayers for success, for guidance, for each other. A warm light surrounded them, as if the heavens themselves leaned in to listen. You really believe this changes things? A colleague asked, genuine curiosity etched on his face. Sarah smiled, warmth blossoming within her. Absolutely. Prayer isn't just words. It's our connection to something greater. It invites joy, guidance, and sometimes even miracles. Her words hung in the air, transforming the atmosphere, drawing her coworkers into a sacred awareness of community. The workweek flew by, turbulent yet exhilarating. Each day, she felt more attuned to the divine frequencies vibrating through her life. Even when a barrage of deadlines threatened to drown her, she anchored herself in prayer, expressing gratitude for each challenge, for every underlying lesson. Rather than feeling burdened, she began to sense her responsibilities as opportunities for growth, a chance to shine light amid the storm. However, not all reactions were warm. Doubters simmered in corners, and skeptics lashed out when her light shone too bright for them. This isn't a church, one colleague snapped during a debrief. We need results, not prayers. For a split second, shadows threatened to engulf her heart, but she had learned by then not to quiver in the wake of negativity. I believe our best results come from a place of faith, she replied, her voice steady yet gentle. Then, in a moment of divine intervention, her boss called for a meeting. His tone was serious, yet there was a glimmer of concern in his eyes. Sarah, I've noticed how you handle pressure. Perhaps we should talk about your role in this department. Her heart raced with apprehension. Could this lead to an unexpected opportunity, or more hurdles to navigate? As the meeting commenced, she could feel the divine nudging whispering inside her, urging her to trust. Stay anchored in faith, she reminded herself silently. The path ahead loomed with uncertainty and promise interwoven. What breakthrough lay before her? Would her steadfast faith unveil the next chapter in this miraculous journey? As she prepared for the conversation, light seemed to flicker on the edges of possibility, illuminating what was yet to be revealed. As Sarah settled into the meeting room, she could feel the air shift around her. It was thick with expectation. Her boss, James, sat across the table, fidgeting with a pen, an unusual nervousness flickering in his demeanor that sparked her curiosity. She inhaled deeply, feeling her heart remind her of the grounding presence that accompanied her prayers. Thank you for coming, Sarah, he began, his voice steady but softer than she expected. I've been impressed by how you've approached things lately. The way you've encouraged the team to reflect and connect, it's different. It's impactful. A warmth spread through her, mingling with the anticipation fluttering in her chest. Thank you, James. I believe we can do our best work when we're inspired and grateful. But, he interjected, some in the company aren't adapting well to these changes. They appreciate the results, but they fear you're steering us away from our primary focus. He paused, searching for the right words. I wonder, are you sure this is the right approach? Could her faith be misconstrued as a distraction? The uncertainty loomed, yet she felt a gentle prompt to respond. I believe, James, that faith is foundational. It guides how we interact, how we solve problems. It isn't about steering away from our goals, but rather about anchoring ourselves to a greater purpose. Even results can overflow from gratitude and connection. James leaned back, processing her words. She sensed he was at a crossroads, torn between tradition and the new path she was illuminating. Your belief in this is evident, he finally said, and I appreciate it. But I want to be candid. It could cost you opportunities here. Despite his warning, An inexplicable calm washed over her heart. Then let it be so, James. If this leads me away from here, then I trust it for a reason. His eyes widened with surprise, but a smile began to form on his face. You've become a beacon, Sarah. Just then, the door swung open, and a couple of her colleagues strolled in, laughing. The atmosphere shifted as they joined the conversation, and Sarah had a sense that her moment with James was divinely timed. Later that day, her phone vibrated with a message from her spiritual mentor, a simple message with profound weight. God's doors swing wide when faith aligns with action. Stay courageous. Encouraged, Sarah took a moment to sit quietly. She closed her eyes, envisioning a peaceful garden, a soothing stream flowing gently. In this space, she spoke aloud to God, expressing her heart's deepest desires and concerns. Lord, whatever happens, guide me. May my path reflect your will and your love. As these words settled, she felt an overwhelming sense of assurance wrap around her, like a warm embrace. If faith was truly the light guiding her steps, she was ready for the challenges that lay ahead. Yet even as this new chapter began to unfold, shadows of doubt often flickered at the edges of her mind. What if her faith wasn't enough? What if she lost everything she had worked for? As she pondered these thoughts, a voice from behind her brought her back to the present. Hey Sarah, can I sit with you? It was Melissa, a colleague she had guided into prayers. Her presence brought a spark of joy. Of course, what's on your heart? Melissa hesitated, then opened up about her struggles. As they talked and prayed together, Sarah felt the whispers of the divine stirring anew, awakening hope in her heart. The connection was palpable. Each heartfelt word, each shared moment reminded her of the fruits of faith, the joy rooted deeply in community and collective assurance. As her day wound down, her heart brimmed with the promise of where this journey might take her. The unknown stretched out like a vast canvas, filled with potential. But soon, a new challenge was whispered to her spirit. How far would she have to go to truly lead her team into this new way of living and working? She sensed the question lingering just beyond her reach, begging to be explored. What would it take to transform doubts into divine affirmations, courageously leading others into the light of faith? The sunlight streamed through the office windows, casting a gentle glow that felt almost heavenly. Sarah entered the next day, her heart buoyed by the warmth of community and connection that she had felt the previous evening. There was a sense of newness, a hope that rippled through her veins. Today was a fresh opportunity, and she intended to embrace it. As she made her way to her desk, Sarah spotted James again. His brow was furrowed, fingers drumming absently on his desk. The sight tugged at her spirit, urging her to reach out. She approached him cautiously, sensing the weight of uncertainty hanging in the air. Hey, James, she said softly, is everything all right? He looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. Oh, Sarah, I'm glad you're here. I've been thinking about our conversation. I appreciate your openness, but there's still apprehension from the team. He sighed, the air thickening with his concern. People seem hesitant to step into the unknown with your vision. Sarah took a moment to gather her thoughts, searching for the right words. James, I trust that when we align our work with purpose, clarity follows. It's about more than just results. It's about nurturing a culture filled with hope, a space where we can all thrive. I believe we can do this together. His eyes searched hers for sincerity. But how can we change minds? How can we bring everyone on board? A spark ignited in Sarah's heart. Let us focus on sharing stories of how faith and gratitude can transform our work. Maybe if we provide an opportunity for deeper connection through team-building activities, or even simple moments of sharing, people will begin to feel the shift. Sounds wonderful, he replied, still uncertain. But am I really ready to support this? The question hung in the air, and Sarah felt it too, a reminder of the hesitation that often clouds the journey of faith. We don't need to have it all figured out. It's in the stepping forward together that revelation comes. The atmosphere shifted subtly, a shared resolve beginning to take root. Together they plotted a plan, woven with intention and purpose. As the day moved on, They sent out invites for a gathering, a team lunch infused with sharing moments filled with gratitude and hope as those plans unfurled. Sarah found joy in each small detail. She walked past her colleagues as they shared laughter, their spirits brightening. There was a vibrancy that buzzed through the office, a growing sense of community awakening amid fear. With every connection forged through shared purpose, she felt the clarity of her own calling strengthening. Each moment she spent preparing became a prayer, an offering. The hours flew by, wonderfully culminating in a wave of anticipation as the lunch approached. Then, as she set the final touches on the table, a sudden hush swept across the room. The energy shifted. Sarah looked up, and her breath caught a voice echoed through the office. "Sarah, can you lead us in a moment of reflection?" It was Melissa again, her eyes alight with encouragement. Sarah's heart pounded. Could she truly step into this moment? She nodded, feeling both unworthy and empowered at once. She lifted her voice, embracing the divine courage rising within. "Of course, let us take a moment to express gratitude, to align our hearts towards purpose." As her words flowed, she pulled deep from her faith. She spoke of hope, purpose, and transformation, her spirit soaring with each sentence. Each listener leaned in, absorbed in the sacred moment. The connection was palpable. She sensed that together, they were crafting a new narrative, a living testament to the power of community rooted in faith. Yet amidst the smiles and nods, a nagging question remained, drumming at the edges of her heart. Could this truly be the beginning of change? Would their lunch foster a culture of unity and faith-filled purpose? Sarah leaned in, holding on to the unforeseen possibilities ahead, feeling that assurance blossom in her chest once again. But as she returned to her desk, another thought brushed against her spirit. What would come next when the shadows of doubt confronted them again? The lunch gathering unfolded like a beautifully woven tapestry, each thread shining with the warmth of shared stories and hearts lifted in gratitude. Sarah glanced around the room, taking in the transformation that was beginning to take shape. Colleagues who were once mere acquaintances now leaned toward each other, laughing, sharing, connecting. The hum of conversation swelled, almost melodic, as faith and hope intertwined in the atmosphere. "Can you feel it?" James asked, his eyes sparkling. "It's like a barrier is breaking down. People are really engaging." "Yes," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with joy. "It's what we hoped for, a little light in the darkness." She marveled at how moments of vulnerability had sparked genuine connection among them. In that spirited environment, she understood that faith wasn't just an abstract idea. It was the bridge to deeper relationships. Conversations sparkled with sincerity, filled with anecdotes of struggle and triumph. As Sarah guided the discussions, she felt God's presence teasing at the corners of her spirit, whispering reminders that the journey isn't always a straight path. There would be bumps along the way, but these moments of surrender and sharing could become windows of divine grace. Could we carry this through to our daily work? Melissa chimed in, the excitement evident in her voice. How can we keep this momentum going? Sarah paused, savoring the moment. Could their brief gathering have lasting impact? She realized, perhaps it wasn't about the grand gestures or perfect ideas. Instead, it was the simple act of committing to be present for one another, reminding each other of the divine purpose amidst daily chaos. "We can encourage this openness," she suggested. "Let us create regular spaces for reflection, moments where we can be truly honest about our challenges and our joys. Let us bring our whole selves to work, not just the polished versions." Nods of agreement filled the room, a chorus of hearts beating as one. Something about her words resonated deeply, like a gentle awakening calling everyone to a higher purpose. As the gathering wrapped, Sarah offered a closing reflection. "May we carry this spirit into our work week, bringing the light we've shared today. Know that our faith together can open doors to endless possibilities." With that, a radiant smile spread across her face, her spirit ignited by the community they had begun to form. Yet as Sarah stepped back to her desk once more, a shadow flickered by. A lingering awareness gripped her heart. What if the very next day brought back the doubts they had just begun to chase away? What if old patterns of fear and resentment slithered back into their midst? And then, just as uncertainty began to weigh upon her, James approached, a determined look on his face. I want to commit to this journey too. Let us plan for those regular spaces but also figure out how to introduce it to others. We can do this together. Can we? This was the divine spark she'd been waiting for, a moment where collaboration could birth something greater. Yes. Together, we can uplift one another in ways we've never imagined. The encouragement bubbled forth from her. They began to sketch ideas on a notepad together, an outpouring of possibilities spilling onto the page. Yet amidst the excitement, another thought lingered. What would happen when they faced the first moment of pushback, of doubt? Could their resolve withstand the test? Would this bond of faith remain a refuge, or would it splinter under pressure? Sarah caught herself, breathless in anticipation, sensing something magnificent was ahead. The air around them seemed charged, alive. But could they withstand the storms that were sure to come? The true test awaited on the horizon. As the sun rose the next morning, casting long rays through the office windows, Sarah could feel the weight of the challenge that lay ahead. Doubt often feels heavy, like a storm cloud gathering above. But in her heart, a flicker of hope danced, refusing to be snuffed out. She believed that the beauty of their shared experience would linger if they nurtured it. Today is a blessing, she whispered, recalling the warmth of yesterday's gathering. She hoped to carry that energy into the office like a precious light. As she settled at her desk, Sarah saw James deep in conversation at the other end of the office. The lively exchange was a familiar reminder of the journey they had embarked on. She could see him deepening connections, encouraging dialogue among colleagues. It filled her heart with joy. Yet, as she tuned into the conversations happening around her, an unsettling shadow flashed by an unexpected reaction from a colleague. Rob, known for his skeptical nature, stood near the coffee machine, raising an eyebrow, his arms crossed as he watched others engage. What's all this chatter about? Rob scoffed, his tone laced with sarcasm. Feels like a group therapy session. The laughter that ensued felt jarring, cutting through the warmth, as some avoided his withering gaze. Sarah felt her spirit waver slightly. James's face shifted, showing signs of struggle. It's about being open, Rob. Sharing. Supporting each other to grow, he replied, striving to maintain a calm demeanor. Yet internal storms brewed. Could their blossoming community withstand the naysayers? Would Rob's negativity cast a shadow over their plans? Sarah felt a tug in her chest, a mix of concern and determination. It was a defining moment. A sigh escaped her as she considered the situation. How could they remain resolute when faced with challenging spirits? But then she remembered the power of faith, the gentle reminders that God didn't merely call them to comfort, but into deeper waters, where resilience blooms. Rob, she said, stepping toward him, we're simply trying to embrace openness and honesty in our work. It may not make sense now, but it's just about helping one another. Will you join us? The question hung in the air, brittle yet hopeful. For an instant, silence enveloped the room. Sarah felt her breath catch, heart racing, as everyone awaited Rob's response. This wasn't just about him. It felt larger, a test of their unity and resolve. Rob met her eye, and for a moment vulnerability flickered across his features. I don't know, he finally muttered, glancing away. Sarah felt a swell of empathy rise within her. It's okay to be uncertain. We all have our struggles. But maybe, just maybe, sharing those struggles might lift the weight off our shoulders a little, she offered sincerely, her voice softer but steadfast. A ripple of murmurs followed her words, some heads nodding in agreement. The energy shifted, like fresh air after a storm. Sarah could see in Rob's eyes that an unexpected seed had been planted. Would it take root? Could it flourish into something good? Encouragement stirred in her soul. Let us take a few moments to share our thoughts this week, our ups and downs as they come. We could even call it finding strength together, she suggested, her eyes scanning the room as hopeful smiles began to emerge. The room gradually warmed again, hearts opening like petals toward the sun, a collective sense of purpose blossoming. Rob stood a little taller, the corners of his mouth twitching into an almost imperceptible smile. The day carried on, the vibrant energy of faith echoing in their discussions. Each moment became a testament, a prayer shared in the lightweight conversations that sparkled around the office. But as the day waned, a thought flickered in Sarah's heart. What if they faced more than just skepticism? What if their commitment was tested in ways she couldn't foresee? Feeling that charge in the air, she looked at James, who was now deeper in conversation with another colleague, weighing their next steps. They were on a path lighting the way for others, but at what cost? And what would the real challenges look like? With faith as their guide, they moved forward into the unknown, eager and unafraid, but the bigger question loomed. Would they let their light shine even brighter in moments of trial? As the workweek unfolded, a delicate energy filled the air. Each day brought new encouragement, fragile yet promising. The whispers of connection floated among colleagues, wrapping them in a shared embrace that Sarah hadn't anticipated. Did you see how Rob smiled yesterday? A colleague named Lisa remarked one sunny afternoon, her voice gleaming with excitement. It was subtle, but it was there. Sarah nodded, feeling a surge of hope. Sometimes it's the small victories that matter most, she replied, cherishing the moment. Their coffee breaks transformed into sacred circles, with laughter mingling freely with shared burdens. Yet, as harmony blossomed, Sarah sensed an undercurrent of tension. Rumors circulated about a potential merger that loomed over them like a shadow. The uncertainty had the power to disrupt their newly formed bond. Change can be unsettling, she reminded herself while gazing out the bright window, rays filtering through. She instinctively reached for a pen and began jotting down her thoughts, letting her mind wander to God's steadfast presence. Lord, guide us through the storm. Help us see the blessings in the unknown. That day, as she entered the office, tension crackled. Conversations were hurried, and eyes darted nervously. The news broke swiftly: a merger was indeed on the table. Fear gripped the hearts around her, the anxiety palpable. Nothing will be the same, Rob muttered, arms folded tightly once more, his mask of skepticism returning stronger than before. Sarah's spirit faltered for a moment. How could they nurture this fragile community when faced with such uncertainty? But then she remembered the mission that had ignited her heart. Vulnerability, true connection, these were her anchors. Everyone, she said, raising her voice, let us remember that we're here for each other. No matter what changes come our way, we can lean on one another. Let us not lose sight of our shared strength. Just as she finished speaking, a hush fell over the room. All eyes focused on her, each gaze holding a mixture of fear and longing. It was Rob who spoke up, this time with a hint of defiance. But what if it all falls apart? These changes could ruin everything, he challenged. Maybe, Sarah replied, her voice steady and calm, but perhaps we have the power to shape our experience. Together, isn't that what we've been exploring? It's in these moments of uncertainty that trust is born. Let us support one another and embrace whatever comes. Her words hung in the air, like a soft light breaking through the gathering clouds. One by one, nods of acknowledgement began to float in the room. They were afraid, yes, but a flicker of hope stirred within them, awakening the realization that growth often follows discomfort. Rob sighed, a deep breath that spoke of surrender mingled with endurance. I might be skeptical, he admitted, a hint of softness emerging, but I'm willing to give it a shot. It's terrifying, though. Sarah's heart soared at his admission. That's brave, Rob. Our strength lies in honesty and support. I believe God brought us together for moments like these. As the days turned into weeks, the fabric of their workplace began to weave present moments together in unexpected ways. Sarah watched her coworkers share their fears on breaks, tapping into a well of empathy that inspired courage and honesty. But as the merger discussions intensified, uncertainty hovered densely around them. How could they continue to maintain their newfound spirit amidst this turbulence? Would the darkness of doubt sweep the light away? As each week unfolded, Sarah felt the call to action resonate deeper. How could they transform this fear into a wellspring of faith? Gathering her breath, she reached for her pen again, What if we create a safe space to process this change? She wrote down, the heartbeat of quiet determination pulsing in her chest. Would her idea carry them beyond uncertainty? Would their collective faith shine brighter than the looming shadows? Only time would tell, but Sarah felt an unwavering pull, guiding them toward something greater. As the morning light streamed through the office windows, snippets of joy and unease entwined themselves in the atmosphere. The week pressed forward with a mix of hope and anxiety. Sarah felt it in her bones, an impending moment of reckoning lay just ahead. With each day, her mind collided with possibilities. She clung to the idea of creating that safe space, a refuge for shared emotions and exploration. The notion brightened her heart like morning dew on grass, and she prayed silently for guidance. Lord, let my words hold power. Let them be a balm for weary souls. As Friday approached, Sarah gathered the courage to present her idea during their weekly meeting. The team crammed into the conference room, faces a tapestry of expressions, curiosity deepened by apprehension. Can I have your attention, everyone? She began, her voice a soft beacon cutting through the noise. I know these changes ahead seem overwhelming, but what if we come together in a new way? What if we create a space where we can share our feelings about the merger? A space to talk, listen, and pray? A wave of silence washed over them, punctuated only by a quiet rustle from Lisa, who looked thoughtfully around the room. Rob glanced over, his brow furrowed, yet something different flickered in his eyes. Uncertainty remained, yet beneath that, a glimpse of possibility awaited. Why should we do this? He challenged, his wall still braced for impact. Because we're stronger together, Sarah replied, leaning into her conviction. This team has become a family. In navigating this unknown together, we can turn our fear into faith. It's a chance to connect more deeply, to let God guide us through this. As her proposal settled, a heartbeat filled the room, the slow rhythm of contemplation. Sarah held her breath, waiting for the shift. One by one, each colleague's face softened, revealing whispers of acknowledgement. Something had flickered. The spirit was stirring. I think it's a good idea. Lisa spoke up, her voice unsteady yet filled with warmth. We need each other more now than ever. Rob's demeanor shifted. The lines of skepticism deepened, but there was a spark of engagement. All right, let us hear what everyone feels about this. But I've got to say, fear and vulnerability have never been my cup of tea, he admitted, his bravado inching back. This is a safe space, Rob, Sarah encouraged gently. Everyone's voice deserves to be heard. We can trust each other. A murmured agreement followed her words, the soft hum of voices melding into a single choir of hope. As the meeting ended, plans were set into motion. Each week, they would gather in a circle, sharing their struggles and prayers. Faces grew lighter, and laughter began to pepper their conversations once more. In the days that followed, Sarah saw transformation unfurl. Jokes were exchanged on break. Colleagues rallied support through personal stories. They expressed raw emotions. Tears flowed freely as burdens lifted in camaraderie. Somewhere within that fragile yet resilient space, faith took root. When Thursday came, sessions of vulnerability had become bathing waters for the soul. People began to share not just their fears, but hopes too. Then, during one of these gatherings, a powerful thought emerged in the air, filling the silence with warmth, the notion of community as a balm for wounded hearts. What if, Sarah mused aloud, we extend this space beyond ourselves? What if we invite others from different departments to join us? The room buzzed with transmissions of surprise, wonder painted across every face. Would their little sanctuary become a light for those still in darkness? Would they find ways to share this sacred unity, uniting everything lost against the currents of change? As they murmured among themselves, the air lifted with anticipation. Sarah felt a shift, a divine spark igniting her heart. The journey was just beginning, and the best was yet to come. What awaited them on the horizon? She wondered, would their collective faith shine bright enough to transform not only themselves but the whole company? In the days that followed, a palpable energy charged the office. The whispers of hope vibrated in the air as Sarah's vision began to take shape. Colleagues who once passed each other in silence now exchanged smiles, their hearts awakening to the beauty of connection. As they sat together each week, vulnerability emerged like a gentle breeze, softening their edges. Stories illuminated the meeting room, transforming it into a sanctuary of unguarded hearts. Each reflection was met with nods of understanding, as though the struggles felt so intimately divine. It was a glimpse of the kingdom, a sacred gathering of souls yearning for something deeper. Let us remember, Sarah encouraged on one particularly soft Thursday afternoon, our words hold the power of life. When we share our fears, we give each other strength. Let us not just listen, but truly hear each other. A spirit of sincerity filled the room, wrapping around them like a divine embrace. Hands trembled as they reached for each other, closing small gaps, nurturing bonds. Lisa shared her anxiety about family issues, revealing the weight upon her heart. There were tears, but amidst them, laughter sprung forth. Warmth radiated from every shared story, as God intertwined their lives as one. What if we prayed for each other? Someone suggested quietly, a flicker of hope igniting. Yes. Others echoed, a chorus of eager voices. Yes, let us pray. They formed a circle, hands linked in solidarity, and Sarah felt the divine presence enveloping them, the sacred unity of believers letting down their walls. Some prayed softly, while others lifted their voices, creating an orchestra of faith that lifted the room higher. The miracle of connection enveloped them, manifesting as a profound peace. It was a palpable energy, an unseen force moving through their midst, as cries for intervention ascended. As they prayed, burdens visibly lifted. It was a sacred exchange, a divine trade, where fear transformed into expectation, and anxiety morphed into peace. Watching her colleagues soften and rise to each other as support was a heartwarming symphony for Sarah. This is our home, she thought. This is the church being birthed in a different form. Days turned into weeks, and the group began to flourish. They ventured beyond their meetings to help one another in daily tasks, recognizing that love shined brightest when it was shared. Conversations moved beyond the sanctuary of their circle. Then came a pivotal moment, unanticipated yet eagerly awaited. During one ordinary lunch hour, the group found themselves discussing the dynamics of the merger. Instead of fear, their conversation was laced with excitement. What could they create together? What if we pitched this safe space to upper management? Rob interjected, half hopeful and half probably skeptical. Could it help unite the teams? A wave of whispers washed over them. Excitement thrummed in the air, and Sarah's heart raced at the thought. They could be a beacon, a testament to what genuine connection could foster even amidst uncertainty. Let us do it, she exclaimed, an electrifying joy flooding her veins. Let us show them what unity looks like. As they prepared together, Sarah felt the crafting of a divine plan unfolding. It seemed as if barriers that once stood firm were dissolving under the light of spirit-fueled courage. However, in the background of this blossoming hope, a sense of foreboding began to loom. Who would stand against the light they had created? What opposition might arise? Waves of anticipation came crashing against her peaceful thoughts. The vision before them radiated majesty, yet external factors spiraled beyond their control. What challenges awaited them as they ventured into the unknown? Would they remain steadfast after tasting the sweetness of faith and community? God's plan was unfolding, and Sarah could only ask herself, were they prepared to face what lay ahead? As the weeks flowed into one another, the energy within the office shifted like a moving tide. Each morning, Sarah felt hope's delicate wings fluttering around her. The team's weekly gathering transformed into a sacred hour where belts were loosened, hearts spilled over, and prayers enveloped their souls. On the day they would present their vision to upper management, the air dripped with anticipation. Sarah gathered her colleagues around her. Today is our chance, she said, her voice steady. Remember, we're not just sharing our ideas, we're sharing our hearts. Let us show them the power of unity, faith, and community through turmoil. Their eyes sparkled with a mix of excitement and apprehension, but together they forged ahead. The conference room, once a stark and intimidating space, now felt vibrant, bathed in warmth from their shared purpose. As they stood before management, something remarkable occurred. A divine spark ignited within the group. "Thank you for your time," Sarah began, taking a deep breath, her spirit aligned and flowing with the belief she held dear. "We're here today to share how embracing vulnerability and connection can transform not only our workplace but our lives." The room pulsed with energy as she spoke, recounting struggles and triumphs, emphasizing how their community had blossomed against all odds. "Imagine," she continued, "a workplace where each person feels valued, heard, and uplifted. We can cultivate a culture woven with trust and compassion. Every shared prayer, every story told, creates a ripple effect, inducing a beautiful shift." As Sarah's voice resonated, she felt others stepping forward, sharing their experiences of transformation like petals unfurling under a nurturing sun. Laughter, tears, uncertainty, each emotion intertwined, and the executives listened with rapt attention, noting the power of community dreams ignited amidst fear. Yet, even as their vision came alive that day, Sarah sensed the lingering shadow of doubt. A powerful voice cut through after her speech, a senior executive, arms crossed, wearing skepticism like armor. "This is all lovely," he said, disdain flickering on his lips, "but we still need results. How does this translate into productivity?" As a weight hung in the air, Sarah felt all eyes shift. This was the individual who could either open the doors wide or slam them shut. Doubt snaked around her heart like a serpent, and for a moment, fear attempted to suffocate her spirit. But she held on to faith. "Results are important," she replied, her voice rising with conviction. "But what if true productivity comes from a place of trust and connection? When people feel valued, they invest their hearts. They work together, generating not just better results, but a positive ripple across every aspect of our company." A hush fell upon the gathering as Sarah's words hung suspended, transforming it into an intimate exchange. She sensed the team rallying behind her, hearts and prayers merging as one. Each person present trembled with hope as they wrapped up the presentation. The senior executive nodded slowly, a flicker of contemplation lighting his features. "Let us embrace this," he finally announced. "Let us see how this initiative unfolds." The weight lifted from the team like a burden released into the wind. Overjoyed, they emerged, laughing and exchanging glances that spoke volumes of triumph. They had done something remarkable. They had transformed their uncertainties into a shared vision through divine connection. Days turned to months, and the journey continued as their workplace culture flourished. The once brick-walled conference rooms became spaces of blossoming conversations. Teams collaborated openly, and the warmth shared transcended beyond them. But challenges persisted. Some colleagues remained distant, hovering on the outskirts of vulnerability. Rob had taken a back seat, his skepticism resurfacing like a stubborn weed. One afternoon, Sarah felt the tug to reach out. Finding him alone in the break room, she approached, warmth blooming in her heart. "Hey, Rob, I've noticed you've been quieter lately. Is everything okay?" His gaze met hers, vulnerability peeking through the cracks. "I still struggle with trusting the process, Sarah. Sometimes it feels too good to be true, and I don't know if it will last." In that moment, Sarah understood. "Rob, it's okay to doubt, but let us lean into those doubts together. Let us build something that holds even amidst uncertainty. How about you share your voice in our upcoming session? Could be powerful for you and for us." Slowly, he nodded, uncertainty mingling with resolution. As days unfolded, he participated more, finding trust in their shared circle, slowly stepping onto unfamiliar ground. As Sarah watched Rob share his battles, she felt the spirit surge through them, a glorious testament to resilience. Each of them emerged brighter, more grounded in their faith. Then, unthinkable news struck. The announcement of the merger arrived, and Sarah saw dread etching its way across familiar faces, a vicious storm brewing. Would they falter? Would their community unravel? In that moment of crisis, Sarah rallied her colleagues together, embracing the uncertainty head-on. "Remember what we've built," she urged. "This only strengthens our connection. Let us find strength together." Arthur, a colleague who had been with the company for years, stood tall. We've come so far together. We've built something beautiful. Let us rise in faith. Together they prayed, voices lifting like incense, fear dissipating as a sea of unity swept over them. Slowly, the voices grew into a powerful hymn of encouragement, feeding faith into weary hearts. Amidst uncertainty, the light encapsulated them. Their little community stood resilient against the forces trying to pull them apart. Each prayer lit the way, casting beams of hope in dark hours. Days turned to weeks as they bonded through the storm below. Though challenges met them, they clenched hands in unity, each sharing laughter, stories, and divine strength. At last, amid the uncertain waters of change, Sarah could see the effect's splendid transformation, vitality intertwined with divine purpose, and an unwavering spirit igniting souls as she stood at the helm of her journey. She was no longer just Sarah, a mother in the corporate world. She was a catalyst for divine change. The hand of God danced through their lives, weaving miracles amidst struggles. Her heart hummed in gratitude, transformed by the journey. She felt led, strengthened by grace, unwavering in the faith that had birthed a vibrant community, a living testament to love and connection. In that sacred space, Sarah smiled, knowing this was only the beginning of their journey into the light. She was ready to share this greater purpose with those willing to listen. And oh, brethren, this is the moment to embrace your journey. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep these blessings flowing. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this miraculous ending. And don't you wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this manifestation of faith. Together, let us light the world.